Welcome back to the Peptides for Women podcast. I'm Jennifer Woodward, and I'm pretty excited because I get to welcome back friends of the podcast, Kayla and Mike Neal. Kayla and Mike, welcome back. I'm really excited because today we are talking about the next steps in someone's peptide evolution. A lot of us come to this space because, we want weight loss or we want some muscle gains and we're starting with one or two peptides. But after you've been doing this peptide game for months and years, the question becomes, I feel so good. What's next? So let's take a moment to introduce the two of you and then we can get into the meat of our session today. Kayla, would you start?
Absolutely. I love being a friend of the podcast.
I know. A regular.
My name is Kayla Neal. I am a perimenopause weight loss expert coach. I've been in the fitness industry for almost 33 years. Just turned 50.
Damn.
Makes me feel like a dinosaur, but that's okay. I think you were 10 when I taught my first step class. And I found myself struggling in perimenopause, plain and simple. It was COVID. I owned a spin studio. I'd had it open for about a year here in Santa Barbara, California. We shut down because of COVID. I was 44, 45 years old. I was absolutely in the throes of perimenopause. But 5 years ago, I couldn't define the word. It was for old ladies. And I had no idea that all the hormonal shifts were happening because it was COVID. Like, take your brain back to COVID for a second in those first few weeks. It was like, what is going on? What is actually happening? And I was we have 6 kids together. We were circling the wagons. We were bringing the children home. And I was trying to survive in this climate, a very small business. And I'm really proud to say that I think with all of that effort, would you say so? Because he was with me, that we really did survive what happened because we weren't going to lay down. So I was fighting. I was having anxiety. I wasn't sleeping at night. It was COVID, but I was in perimenopause. So as time went, I got smarter. I got hormonally optimized. I was praying to the heavens that my belly fat that came out of nowhere, by the way, was just going to disappear on its own, and it didn't. And I'm the girl who does everything. I've never stepped away from fitness. On a day in my life, I went through 3 pregnancies. I have 3 beautiful children. Like I said, we have 6 together. I got right back to the game, and all of a sudden, I had 20 pounds of fat on me that came on that felt like overnight. And everything that I was doing was taking me further and further away. So I really had to go back to the drawing board. I got this, not to sound silly, but it felt like a calling during COVID that I needed to I need to save my own ass and then save others, because the game does change. And it's not a cliche and it's not a line. We cannot do what we did in our 30s in our midlife years. It has to change. So I went back to the drawing board and I thought, okay, so 12 spin classes a week, isn't it? That's not it. I mean, I was in the weight room. I've been in the weight room since I was 19, but everything I was doing from a cardio perspective was deeply affecting all of that effort that I was putting in. And anyway, I had to go back to the drawing board, and then I just made a decision I was going to pay it forward. So I figured that piece out. And I do want to say this, is I know that we are on the Peptides for Women podcast, so we're talking about peptides, but I do want to highlight that none of these work without the lifestyle pieces. You got to lay the foundation, right? And so that foundational work was there for me. It was sound. I was walking. I was doing all the things I needed to do, and I was still struggling. So anyway, long story short, I found the microdosing of GLP-1 peptides very much by accident. Uh, I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be the trainer that's taking Ozempic? I mean, that's really like the first thought that came into my mind. I felt ridiculous, but I actually, I'm somebody who does a lot of research, and I just dug into the science. And what was so exciting about going into this very first injection, which was very difficult to do in Santa Barbara, I was told that I was crazy and I had body dysmorphia and I should probably go on an antidepressant. This is all said to me by physicians, by the way. But when I went into that very first injection, and I think that anyone who's listening to us right now can relate, I felt hopeful. I'd been beating my head into a wall trying to figure out what the hell was wrong with me. And for the first time, because I had done so much research, I knew it was going to work. And I'm a lab rat. I'm always that way. I experiment with myself first, make sure it works. And then I bring it to the public. And that's exactly what I did. So fast forward 7 months, I lost 20 pounds of body fat. My body fat went from 20% to 12%. My lean muscle stayed intact and my visceral fat dropped to 2. So The results speak for themselves. And so like, what's next? Well, that's how, I don't want to speak for Mike. He could introduce himself, but like, that's how he got on board. I mean, obviously he was, I'm sure, elated that I was feeling better in my body because, your personality changes when you can't get your jeans over your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like things ain't good when you don't feel good in your body. And so he just started asking a lot of questions, and that, I know we're going to talk about this now, but like, what's next after the GLP, the peptide? It opened the door for all that's possible in peptide life, which has just been so exciting for us to explore.
Yeah.
So anyway,
100%. And I can tell like that's working for you. I just literally spent a weekend at a conference with you, saw you almost butt ass naked. You look amazing. The belly's gone, the body's rocking. So
Ah,
you can definitely tell. Of course, you put in the lifestyle too. And we don't go one session in this podcast without talking about foundations. And so really driving that home that you've been living that life for 30 years
yeah.
made the peptides work better. But that's for a perimenopausal woman. Let's talk about a midlife man. So, Mike, welcome back to the podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the last year or so with
Yeah,
peptides.
absolutely. Well, as mentioned, Mike Neal, I'm 56 years old, so I guess that qualifies me as midlife. Um,
It
it
does.
does,
Yes, Mike.
unfortunately.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah, so my journey is a little bit different. I mean, in terms of, how I came to this, like Kayla mentioned, I watched her success that she had and the success she was having with her clients. And that's what intrigued me because, I've always been into health and fitness. I was a college athlete, and then I've continued on with my physical fitness, from the moment I got out of college. So it's always been important to me, and it's been something that I've regularly done. I mean, consistency has always been my biggest winner. And so for me, as age continued on, I started seeing the signs of things that were happening that kind of slowed me down a little bit, maybe always being sore from the workout before, maybe not having the energy that I used to have when I got to the gym. So I found myself doing things like maybe riding the bike to warm up for 20 minutes or trying to do things to try and, find that energy. So for me, it was just exploring ways to get back what I had or just to keep me in the game. And so me coming to the peptides, like Kayla mentioned, like I said, was I saw the success she had with it. I heard the podcast that you hear, the Joe Rogans, people talking about these things.
Mhm.
And then I thought, wait a second, I need to learn more about these things. These are from, prescriptions from a medical doctor, and these products work. So I need to find ways for it to benefit me. And so that's kind of how I came to it.
I love it. Again, just pretty optimized. Like you're living a healthy
Mm.
lifestyle, but in the back of your mind, when all this is happening, you're not feeling your best. You maybe don't have the best energy. Your body comp is not what it was, 20 years ago. It is a very natural question for people who are into health and wellness to ask, what's next?
Yeah.
And so for a lot of us, that question, what's next, led us to peptides. It's so funny, like it's almost like evangelical, my peptide experience, but it sort of feels like that
It feels
sometimes when
that
you're
it
like,
really does.
yes, I felt so shitty. Like something was wrong with
Yeah.
my life. This came into it. It changed. I feel better. And I, want to tell people about it.
Mhm.
It's kind of the same like with Jesus, honestly.
Mhm.
And so I think that so many people, spend some time kind of, it's not cheap, right? So kind of diving into a period of time where they're doing some tirzepatide, some semaglutide. A lot of people are
Mhm.
experimenting with retatrutide. Like if that's your jam. I find that my women do best on tirzepatide. Kayla, I think, feels the same.
Same.
But once that gets dialed in and gosh, your body looks better. And like Kayla said, Mike said, your muscle definition starts to pop out and you just start feeling the way on the
Mhm.
outside that you're feeling on the inside. It is a very natural question to ask what's next. And so I'd like to hear from both of you.
Mhm.
What did you do after that initial foundation with your first round of peptides, which was different, obviously, for both of you, kind of settled in? Where did you
Yeah,
go next?
it's a good question. And I always talk about this with clients too. Like it is an investment,
Mhm.
but where do you want to spend your money? And can you think of a better investment than in your health? I think that I'm constantly working on that mindset shift because Amazon lives here and literally is always knocking. And we spend a lot of money on frivolous things. So I think sometimes we think like, wow, it's expensive to get this going on a monthly basis. But if you really look at what your priorities are, it really is not that big of an investment. Anyway, moving on. So I was really excited to just kind of see what's next. It's really what led me to the doctors that I found, because I wanted more than just a GLP, because I knew they were out there. So the buzz on the street was NAD, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I hate to be a victim to marketing, but like the buzz on the street was NAD. And I thought, shoot, well, that's what I'm looking for, is more energy. And I got to tell you, I get women coming to me all day long. I know you know the story about wanting to lose weight, but right next to losing weight is I cannot get my energy out of the toilet. Like I literally am my tank is empty.
Yeah, but that's really important though, because when you say the buzz on the street is for NAD and energy and all those things, I mean, those are hugely important things. When,
Yeah.
especially as we gradually age, when you feel like your energy is not there,
Mhm.
if you hear of other people that are utilizing something to get their energy back and feel more dynamic through the day, having more energy to go do your workouts and feel more excited about it, that makes a difference. So yeah, yes, the weight loss and GLPs are the things that are the buzzwords, but energy and stamina and all those things that go with it, especially if it's something that you've done before and all of a sudden it's not quite the way it used to be. And for me, that was a huge thing that I was looking for is how do I keep myself in the game and because you're always comparing yourself to your youth, just to get a little of that feeling back and just try and stay the way, the feeling you had, the excitement about the workouts and
Mhm.
those things. And so that inner feeling that you get from these products is amazing. And I think that's the thing that I chase. I want to
Mhm.
keep improving myself and chase that feeling of just feeling better.
Yeah, of having, like you said too, like having some hope, feeling like, okay, I'm doing all of these things. I'm investing in myself in so many ways, physically, emotionally, like with these peptides. I need to see some return on investment. And for a long time, I think it's a slowly declining time in our lives where we don't necessarily get that return on investment physically, and it starts to feel very hopeless. And so in introducing something to the picture that allows us to have a little bit of our mojo back, I think it's the perfect time in life. I mean, you guys are empty nesters. Like you get to live this really full, exciting life, doing what you want to do, like top of your careers, visiting your kids, and you want to feel good in order to do that. So I do think it's a really great time for women and men to experiment a little bit and see what works for them.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that ignoring the rhetoric out there that this is just the way that it is, and that this is just part of, getting older, is slowing down and not having the energy, and even to the belly fat, right? Like just that, really changing that and proving. That's what I want us to do, is prove that it's possible. We're not
Mhm.
special. We're just doing it. We're figuring it out. We're researching. We're pioneering, really, and figuring out like what's the secret sauce, which is, it's different for everyone. But I have to say, NAD is responsive like a GLP. Like you feel it. Like it really is. I love NAD. And then the next one I would have to say for me, I mean, I'm on a lot. My stack is 6 peptides right now. So it's an aggressive stack. And I recognize that. Again, I recognize that, like, that's where I choose to spend my money. Not buying any shoes or purses right now. I'm buying peptides. But Tesamorelin, ipamorelin is, I get asked this question a lot. What's next? I've gotten such amazing results on the GLP. I never want to lose my muscle. And of course, we go back to the foundational pieces and make sure that we're fueling the body correctly and making sure that we're hitting the gym and hitting the weights. But I have to say, I didn't know what to expect with the Tesamorelin, ipamorelin. It's the precursor to human growth hormone, and it helps with visceral fat. And so I thought, well, shoot, I mean, why not? It sounds crazy, but I got so much stronger in the gym. And I kept thinking, like, like a runner's high, that mythical thing that people say about runner's high, which I've never experienced, but I'm sure somebody has because it's a thing. I just kept equating it to, like, oh, I got sleep last night. Oh, I'm feeling really good today. No, I was getting stronger because I was taking a peptide. I mean, isn't it funny how, like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden it dawned on me. I was like, no, wait a second. I'm actually taking a peptide specifically to do this.
Yeah. Took your brain a while.
And I forgot. And I was getting comments about, wow, you're looking leaner. I mean, it's just like, so it's an 8-week cycle. So I'm on my second cycle of Tesamorelin. And I have to say, ladies who are listening, if you're looking for what's next and you want to continue to building muscle, which is very challenging to do in midlife, it is very challenging to do. It takes such diligence. This is your next peptide. It's awesome. And you take it.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike, tell us about your
no, I
experience.
mean,
Yeah.
so the Tesamorelin, that's so I started that. I originally started with Smorelin,
Yeah.
and then when I was done with that, I took a little time off, and then I started the Tesamorelin. And for me, it's difficult for me to say, look at myself and say, oh, what kind of difference is it making? Because I usually stay pretty lean. But how I challenge myself and how I see the difference is kind of how I feel when I'm working out. So in
Mhm.
terms of controlling things, upping my strength increasing in the gym a little bit if I choose to, but it's the feeling of the density of the muscle and those things that I'm noticing the difference on this, and that's where I'm, and when this starts happening, little changes, when you notice little changes, the mental part of that is massive because you start realizing, yes, I know these things work, but when you start feeling it, and if you're seeing it, then you're like, oh my God. And the motivation to go then exercise and to do the
Mhm.
things you want to do, sometimes we don't pay enough attention to that, but that matters and that makes a difference when you feel great, the products are working and you're seeing the difference.
100%.
Yep.
And yeah, I've said this before too. Like Bo, my husband, noticed the exact same thing going on the tesamorelin, the ipamorelin. He wasn't even taking it as prescribed because he misread the label. He was taking it once a week. Once a week was enough to get him back to his college level Olympic lifts. Like he didn't even realize it just slowly, started happening. And he thought, oh my gosh, like I can lift heavier. I recover
Yep.
faster. I
Yeah.
probably need to take this as prescribed. I need more of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're saying that you think that's a reasonable next step. People who've had success with GLP-1s, people maybe adding on NAD plus, then a logical next step for women and men who are feeling more optimized might be adding in the growth hormone secretagogues.
Yeah, I think lean muscle is one of the most important things you can have, especially as you age.
And I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, for men and for women,
Mhm.
especially for women as they, enter into that phase. I mean, having the muscle makes a difference. A strong body is going to help you in so many different ways.
I think there's still a stigma attached to I don't want to have big muscles. So, and I'm
Yeah.
always trying to right that ship,
I-
right? Like
that's
it's
an amazing one too. And I tell it to her all the time. I say, just tell your clients if it was that easy, I'd have 20-inch arms. I've been working out for a long time and I still
It always says that I'd have arms like Arnold Schwarzenegger if it was that easy. And until you live it, it's not easy to put on lean muscle. So I'm constantly trying to right that ship. And when women start to work with me and we're looking at body composition measurements and like what that overall number on a scale actually means when you break it down to body composition, it starts to sink in. And then I get them chasing the lean muscle number. And
Mhm.
nothing makes me happier than a woman not looking at an overall number on a bathroom scale, but saying, okay, how do I get that body fat percentage number down? And how do I get that lean muscle number up? And then they realize, I guess it's not that easy.
Yeah, yeah, it is not.
I
And
get,
I love, there's a quote from Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. She says, muscle is the organ of longevity. Probably other
yes.
people have said that too, but I read it all the time attributed to her. And it's so true. It is so true. Like, yes, we want to look good, but we also want to have enough lean muscle mass to not only stay flexible and stable as we get older, but
Mhm.
muscle helps our bodies uptake glucose. Like, the more
Yeah.
muscle we have, the more we can eat, the more sugar we can eat. Like, it just, I mean, it's self-serving as well. Plus, it does look better. I've not seen one woman on a regular lifting routine or even adding in the growth hormone
Mhm.
secretagogues that look like they were too bulky. We were just around 50 of like some of the fittest, cutest women in the peptide space this weekend. And some of those girls got some muscles on them. They look damn good. They really do. Not one of them looks like a dude.
Exactly. Exactly. Case in point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I one of the stories I wanted to talk about too is I was following your guys' story a couple months ago. I know that Mike, while literally a college athlete and very coordinated in real life, somehow threw himself off a ladder in front of his house and landed on his face and had, I mean, I saw your story, Kayla. Like you had some deep bruising, on your face. So walk me through what you did because I saw you a week later and you're back to your normal handsome self.
Yes, it was so it was a ladder. So we have a large avocado tree in the back.
Mhm.
And I had a ladder there, and as I was coming down, the runs broke, and I had the picker in one hand and some avocados in the other. So I wasn't really probably being as
Mhm.
careful as I should have been. But yeah, so I dropped everything, but smashed my face. I'm confident I broke my nose because it was
Mhm.
bleeding like crazy. And where I landed around the tree is, some rock that we have, some decorative rock, but I hit that. And so I had some pretty good cuts on my nose. in my face, a couple black eyes that developed. But at the time, I think I had ordered the GHK-CU like a couple days earlier. So it arrived like a day after this happened, and the timing was perfect because it's, very helpful for the skin and beneficial for the skin. I So I started taking it right away when it came. The next day I woke up, I had all those, cuts on my face. I had the bruising from the black eye, the broken nose with the black eyes. And we have a picture. And when you look at the 7-day difference, literally the scabs were all gone. It was just some light pink. You could see where they were. I mean, it was remarkable. And I was taking that as prescribed for that week. And I'm telling you, of course I was putting the Neosporin on and doing the regular things with the the scrapes, but the difference was remarkable. And it when you see that, you're like, holy cow. I mean, I still had the black eyes, those were there, but all of the cuts and scrapes were basically gone.
Which had to be healing from the inside out. I mean, you could put
Yes,
Neosporin on it and that's going to help it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really could not believe it when I saw the pictures. And I think I think you guys were doing talking stories too. Like you were talking about it. So it wasn't just like a static picture. You could see like, this is really how Mike's face is right now and is a week later. I just thought it was
Yeah.
really, really cool.
It was a remarkable difference. And like you said, obviously healing from the inside out is what made all the difference in the world. And,
Yeah.
along with that, I mean, the product is great for your skin in general, but that as a testimonial to it working was pretty impressive.
Love it.
Who knew? Who knew? Right. And I just had I had some moles removed on my back, and I made sure that I was on GHK-CU while I was having that done. I mean, they're still fresh, but I'm going to be really excited to see how those heal. So it's really important. Anybody who's going through any kind of like surgery or needing to do rehabilitation when it comes to the skin, I think it's super important one to go on.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it helps with collagen synthesis and skin elasticity and definitely healing. And we know that copper is antifungal and antibacterial and antiparasitical. It's just such a great thing for the body to be able to utilize to be optimal, to be healthy. We also know the body can only assimilate about half of what we get through diet. And the copper peptide, of course, isn't copper that you're injecting into your body. It's attracting the copper ions that are already in your body. And so it's utilizing what you already have. But most people, the RDA for copper is 3 milligrams a day. 3 milligrams, that's not very much. And most people get half of that and then they absorb half of that. And so there is a reason why like so many people's skin is off or their healing is delayed or they're getting sick all of the time. And that can't, I mean, it's not just a singularity with copper, but it definitely can be drawn back to those lower levels of copper. And you can certainly get it through diet like nuts and shellfish and whatnot. But I think that the skin healing properties of the injectable is so helpful for people, starting to experience some skin decline in midlife.
I mean, let's be real. I mean, my initial reaction,
I don't know what you're talking about.
my initial, when I was like, well, hey, I want my skin to look good. I want to stay pretty. This is what we want to do, right? But I mean, the skin's the largest organ on the body. So it's not just helping your face too. I mean, obviously it's for your skin. So all the benefits to it. So it's helping your entire body with that.
100%. Yes, 100%. And I don't know if you guys have tried this, but I did order the custom serum, the face serum. And so
you did?
Yes, and I really like it. You have to send in like multiple pictures of your face. Like they really craft it just for you. And so Bo is ordering his today. He's like, I just get stuck at the pictures. I don't want to take that many pictures of my face. I was like, freaking Bo, take the pictures and order the serum and stop using mine.
Yes, yes.
I love the lotions and potions. I'm all in.
This is a lotion potion guy right here.
You did tell me that this weekend, Kayla. So I mean, clearly so is my husband.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes. And that's what I wanted to talk with you guys about too. This question and really our podcast discussion today. What's next? Do you guys find yourself, I know Bo and I do this all the time. Do you find yourself talking with your friends and those people like kind of in your circle about, peptides? Are you starting to, is this a conversation that you're having with those close around you? Because I think people, not just clients, like people in general are just asking, okay, what can I do next?
Yeah, absolutely. It comes up because I need a shirt that says there's a peptide for that.
Yes.
That's my like slogan. There's a peptide for that, but it comes up in conversation in our peer group constantly. Cause talk about like BPC 157, TB 500, right? And the healing benefits of
Recovery,
that
yeah.
and the recovery. You know, I mean, gosh, I mean, there's a peptide for that. So yeah, it comes up constantly. It's a really fun topic of conversation instead of complaining.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone's complaining, we
Yeah.
have an answer for it,
Right.
right? But like
I like it.
I don't know when you're younger that you really anticipate these years or even really give them any kind of merit or thought. Kind of feels like that's for everybody else. And so I feel really
Mm.
grateful that we are in this space. And again, I'm not saying that there isn't a cost involved, but it's not at all what it was 5 years ago. I mean, it really was for the elite to be able to get their hands on. And now I understand why everyone looks so damn good. Now it's like, I get it, right? But like it really was for the elite. And so to have the accessibility, to have them physician prescribed and to have the accessibility to address these things and to really, I mean, I feel the best at 50 that I have literally ever felt. And I don't know what I anticipated for 50, but I didn't anticipate it being better than 30. I was terrified to turn 40, which is hysterical. But like it's proof that like yes, we're doing all the lifestyle pieces, that goes without saying, but 3 years ago, Jennifer, I was really miserable. I was really, really miserable. And I didn't know where to go or who to turn to or how to get myself out of it. And I was suffering in silence, which is the worst part. And so the more information that we can get out there and just let women know and men alike
Mm-hmm.
that there's a better way, you know?
Yeah,
Yes.
and to go back to your point is, when you're just chatting with people in your circle of influence or the people you're around, and you know, sharing these things, I think is you know, I mean, it's kind of key. You want to share with others what you're doing, and
Mhm.
if I'm talking to a guy at the gym or if I'm talking to someone else or a friend, I'm gonna I'm going to share the excitement I have because I want them to then go get that same benefit too. So you're going to tell them about different things
Yeah.
you're doing because if it's working for you, it's reasonable to believe that it's going to work for them. And, I don't want to keep any secrets. I'm
Mm-mm.
sharing with people, hey, I feel better. These workouts are better. This is what I'm doing. And, in most cases, they're going to ask more, tell me more because, a lot of times, I'm chatting with guys in the gym that are, around my same age. So we have the same, the same situation we're in. So, telling them a little bit about what I do, I think is fun to talk about.
And I think that's why I love having you both on this podcast too, because you can see, you can, excuse me, you can chronicle this couple's journey of
Mhm.
year. I mean, it's been over a year that you guys have been doing this. This isn't like a
Yeah.
flash in the pan sort of thing. And I think that it's really encouraging for people to see like, yes, they're safe, they're effective. Like kind of the longer you stay on them, the better results you get, which I've been having that conversation with a lot of people lately too. And the fact that, it's not just a woman's thing, right? It's
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
two people who, are in a healthy, committed relationship can get better and better, throughout their midlife, which I think is amazing. And I love that you're talking to your friends about it. I love that you're talking to like your gym buddies about it too. And it's funny because I think Bo is also a better billboard than I am. People know I do health and wellness. They know he does finance. But while we were sitting here, like while we were recording this podcast, I got a message come through from one of his friends about peptides and a message come through from one of his colleagues about peptides. I'm like, I mean, he should just do it.
I know, right? I love
He
that.
loves them. It's great. But he doesn't endorse anything that he doesn't love, and this
Yeah.
has really been so helpful for us as parents, as people who are married and people who like to be, like I said, at the top of their game in midlife and want to lift heavy and be healthy and active and look forward to the future. It just has given us a new perspective, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
definitely. I mean, it's an interesting process, but listening to what Kayla was said, how she was saying she feels better now than she has in years. I always have this flashback to years back to where, when you're a young college athlete, you're on top of your game, so that feeling, and I think that's what I chase these days. I chase those. I mean, do I feel better than I did when I was 22 years old playing football? Absolutely not. I mean, back then it was amazing because you had youth on your side. But I also understand what it feels like to be in that zone. So, in adjusting how I feel now and the things that I chase, I just want to be optimal for that. That's the feeling that I chase. I know we can, you're going to lose things over time, but I also understand you could be optimal where you're at. So staying in the game and feeling good about what you're doing, that's what I'm always chasing. I want to be the best, midlife guy could be. I want to, do I want to feel like a 56-year-old? No, I want to feel like a 40-year-old. I want to feel like a 35-year-old. So that's what I'm constantly chasing. I just want to feel better.
Yeah, I love it. And that's not something you could do, as Kayla pointed out. Like now that peptides are more democratized, like it's not
Yeah.
something you could have done that easy 5 years ago.
Mm.
And now
It wasn't
it's
available. Yeah.
open to more people. Yeah, I love it.
No, lucky
So,
us.
Kayla, I know that, I mean, obviously you were a health coach. You've been in this space for 33 years. Yes, peptides are helpful for you and your family, right? But they're really changing your practice. And so I know
Ah.
we have a couple different anonymous,
Oh, yeah,
kind of
yeah,
case studies to walk
yeah.
through.
I
You're
can,
working with women in their 30s and 40s and 50s.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that because it's not just us.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I want to make sure this is the right one. Yeah. I was actually on a client call right before we started recording, with a younger woman in her mid 30s, which is one of my favorite demographics to work with. I love grabbing these women before the shit hits the fan, before you're just panicking and reacting to your circumstances. It's really fun to I didn't know what was going on. My mom had a hysterectomy at 26. Nobody was talking to me. I mean, that generation, our mothers, they were lost. And I say this all the time, if we don't pay attention, we're going to get lost too. So just leading the way and leading the charge for these young women. Anyway, she had a hysterectomy. So she came to me in September. She was 148 pounds and she had 36.6% body fat. Again, we had a call today, but these stats are from 3 days ago. She is 139 pounds. Her muscle went up 3 pounds and her body fat dropped to 30. So she lost 6% body fat from September to January.
And tell us what you're doing. Is she on a GLP-1? What are you doing for
So
lifestyle?
yes, that's a great question. So, she was one of the ones that came to me. I've known her for a while, actually. I met her in Santa Barbara and she now lives in Arizona, but she was one of the ones that was resonating with my story. Very similar. I mean, she's younger than me, but went through surgical menopause and was like, I'm doing everything. Like, I'm doing everything. But she did say to me today, you did help me optimize. You did help me focus on fiber, which I've never focused on before. You did help me track my protein. So I'm not just making it up in my head. And we made some modifications to her workout routine, just making sure she was really hitting those weights strategically the way that she needed to. And we brought about 60 days in, we brought in a low-level microdose of tirzepatide. And then today she's like, what can I do next? Like, get on
Yes.
Tesamorelin, girl. But just like, I love these check-ins with my clients because some of them have a lot of lifestyle modifications they need to make, and some are very similar to me, doing all the things, and their body's just insulin resistant or what have you. And so it's just fun. These check-ins are my favorite because they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
And the conversations usually start with like, I feel amazing, or thank you so much. And so I have a client here who's 47. She started with me in August, and this is her August to December results. We actually did a full 90 days. So my program is 90 days of like an intensive, and then I support for an entire year, which is why I'm referencing these check-ins. And we did the entire 90 days. She's actually not in the States. We did the full 90 days without peptides, and then we adopted them. So she went from 166 pounds to 142. That's a 24-pound weight loss. Her body fat went from 34.5% to 28.5%. And her muscle increased by an entire pound. So
Wow.
and you know this as a healthcare professional, to be 47 years old and to put on a pound of muscle,
Mm-hmm.
like, I have a
Wicked
party.
at, yeah.
I have a party because that shows me. And that's the thing. I love this question when I start working with clients. They're like, well, how do we know we're doing all the things? And I said, well, you're 12. I live and die by data. And so I say, well, your body composition measurements are going to tell us all that we need to know. And 12 weeks in is test day. Freaking love test day, because that is telling us, do we have enough protein on board?
Mm-hmm.
Are together? I come shoulder to shoulder with these women, but are we doing what we need to be doing?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so when I see lean muscle, I'm like, yeah, you are not joking about your workouts. You have been doing it. You've been doing the reps. 57-year-old client. This is a 4-month check-in. 186 pounds to 162 pounds. That's a 24-pound weight loss. Her body fat, she's 57 years old and her body fat is in the 20s. And she said to me when I checked in with her right at the new year, she said, "This is the best I felt since my 30s."
Hmm.
Oh, I love it. I
Yeah.
love
I
it.
have two
Oh,
more. I have two
yes.
more. So,
Okay,
I mean,
keep going.
I could do this. We could do this all day long, by the
Right.
way, but I just grabbed the ones that were at the top of the pile.
Mm-hmm.
Client July to December, 43 years old, 168 to 141 pounds, 27 pounds lost, and 7% body fat.
Wow.
Held on to all of her
Holy
lean
moly.
muscle. And here's another one. This is a local girl who I love so much. She's 37, so late 30s, July to October. These are the last stats I had on her. 143 to 135. Her body fat went from 25.6 to 19.5%.
Whoa.
Yeah. And her muscle went up a pound.
Okay, that really is
Awesome.
incredible. And I love that you are tracking data and
Oh,
qualifying all this. Like it's not just I
yeah.
feel better, but here are your stats. This is literally what's working. And then I also want to give the caveat, like you guys don't just order peptides and think like these
Yeah.
results are going to happen for you. Like it is so helpful. I hired Kayla as my coach. Kayla was my coach last year and the one that introduced me to these peptides. So I owe her a great debt. I feel so good. And I know from working with her as a client, like she is going to dial in and make sure that you have your protein down, that you're eating, healthy, clean meals, that you're getting your workouts in. I mean, making sure that that lifestyle part is really, really on track. Otherwise, we know as midlife women, like the signals aren't going to be there for your body for these to work most effectively. And
Exactly.
for a lot of us, like, you don't get a ton of shots on goal at this point, right? And so if
Yeah.
you're going to introduce
Mhm.
something to your body that's new, you might as well go full bore, making sure that you're taking care of your nutrition and your, exercise and your lifestyle so that you have the best shot with these peptides.
Totally agree. Could not have said it better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And hormonal optimization, right? Which is how you and I
Amen.
met. I wanted someone on board who knew what they were doing with hormones. And so, of course, I found you. Funny how this whole adventure you and I have been on together. But
I
kismet,
love
right?
it.
Yeah.
We were supposed to find each other. But like, yeah, and thank you for saying that. It's so kind. But you're right. I mean, the lifestyle piece of this and utilizing a coach like me or like you or anyone who's working in peptides, it makes all the difference. Clients come back to me all the time and say, "Thank goodness I didn't try this on my own. Thank
Well,
Yeah.
goodness I had you to coach me through it."
I think that's one of the key things because, these are a few snippets. I hear these stories all the time, and I've been hearing these for years with success she's having for
Mhm.
her clients. And sometimes people just need help. I mean, it's hard to thread the needle. So when you have
Yeah.
somebody that can really help you to point you in the right direction and guide you through these things, it really does help. So kudos to the people that actually step in and ask for help. I think that's a big deal. And then, there's another facet to this that's really interesting because these are people that actually got on board and worked with Kayla and went through the program. And there's another side that I always look at and say, that's an unfortunate situation because there's so many people that don't get to do it because they come to the table wanting to do that, but they don't have the support to do it. And so Kayla and I have always talked about this, and she reiterates this with people she talks with. Be honest with your partner. Be honest with whoever it is you're with.
Mm.
Talk to them about how you're feeling so they fully understand what you're going through. Because when Kayla went through her journey, I didn't know at the beginning until we actually had
Mhm.
conversations about it. And then I fully supported what she was doing. And I was here to make sure that she had anything that I could give her, but more importantly, just to support her with her journey. And I think a lot of women in this space, they don't get that.
Mm-mm.
Maybe they're not having that conversation with their husband or their boyfriend or whoever it is that's their significant other. So, Kayla encourages them to do that, have that conversation. Make sure you're being honest with how you feel so you can get the support to do this thing. Is there a financial cost with all of these things? 100% there is. But what you're getting out of it is a better you. You're going to feel better. You're going to look better. You're going to mentally feel better. And then, a PSA for all the guys out there, dudes, support your women. Come on.
Yeah,
I mean,
seriously.
why would you ever tell your wife or spouse or girlfriend no to something because there's a cost to it? Like, if they're not right, your relationship isn't right. They're not good parents.
And no one's having sex.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you. When you feel like shit and you can't put your pants on because you can't get them over your butt and the world is falling apart and you're not sleeping and you have brain
You're
fog,
not
no
feeling
one is
sexy.
having
Yeah.
fun. No one is having fun. I don't
Yeah.
understand
So
it. I
guys,
think that's hard to
listen,
figure out.
right? you know, when your spouse feels sexy, that's a good thing. When she feels good about herself and feels pretty and the jeans are fitting, hey, I'm all for that. You know, support your people.
100%. Oh, I love it.
Hey,
Yes.
hey, support your people.
Put that on the back of your shirt. There's a peptide for that.
There's a
Support your
peptide for
people.
that, and support your people.
Kayla Johnson Fitness. Now, listen, this is an audio only podcast. So you guys can't see how healthy Mike and Kayla look. Like they clearly personify the life that they're living. You can see it in their faces. So go follow Kayla at Kayla Johnson Fitness on Instagram. Mike pops up on there all the time.
All the time.
So you'll find Mike there too.
Yeah, I'm a guest
Ask her
star.
questions. Get in touch with her. She is a fantastic resource. Like I said, one of my mentors in this space, and really a good resource for you midlife women and men. So Kayla, tell us a little bit more about where people can find you.
Yeah, that's the best place probably is Instagram, Kayla Johnson Fitness. KaylaJohnsonFitness.com is a great place to catch me as well. And yeah, there's a lot of Mike cameo on the Instagram, and the people love to hear from Mike.
But people love the mic.
I step in when I can.
He's a good sport about it.
I love it. And Mike, are there any closing words you have to say for midlife guys or girls out there?
Yeah, listen, always chase a better you. That's what I can say. You know, you look at what you're doing and figure out how to make yourself better.
That's going to go on the sleeve of the shirt. Chase a better you.
Right?
I like it. Status quo sucks. Always chase a better you.
Yeah. And listen, don't be afraid to change. I've never feared change because I think, if you want to get better, you have to change something. If you want to change your situation, you got to first step back and say, okay, what do I got to do? So don't be afraid of change. Embrace it. It's how you get better. It's how we take steps forward. It's how we improve ourselves.
Yeah. If you're not growing, you're dying. I mean, the same thing in business, right? You just change is part of life that we have to embrace. And yeah, Operation Figure It Out.
100%. Well said, my friends. Thank you for giving up your time to come here on the podcast and educate us and reach out to people. We are going to put your links in the show notes, Kayla, so people will be able to know where to find you. And I'm very grateful for each and every one of you who is listening to the Peptides for Women podcast, taking time to reach out and tell us how much you love it. Let us know if there's anything that you want to talk about in the future. We have amazing guests to come in 2026. But for today, my heart is full with gratitude for Kayla and Mike. So thank you guys for being here, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.